Okay, so what if we could literally edit the code of life? I mean, really think about that for a second. That's the power of CRISPR. It's one of the most incredible scientific tools of our time, and it's not just some lab experiment. It's already changing medicine, and, it's forcing us to ask some really big questions about our future. So let's dive in. Let's explore how this thing works and what it means for every single one of us.
So, what are we actually talking about here? Well, at the heart of it all is this thing called genome editing. And the official definition, from the World Health Organization is pretty straightforward. It's a method for making specific changes to the DNA of a cell or organism. Simple as that. This is the core idea, the very foundation that makes a tool like CRISPR even possible.
Okay, let's break that down even more. Think of it like a word processor, but for a DNA. Seriously, scientists can use CRISPR to basically hit find and replace on our genetic code. They can find a specific word, which is a gene, and then just add, remove, or change it. And they can do it with unbelievable precision. We are literally talking about editing the blueprint of life itself.
And this just blows the door wide open to a huge question, right? If our DNA is the instruction manual for everything about us, what happens when we get the power to rewrite those instructions? And I gotta tell you, this isn't science fiction anymore. This is happening right now, today.
All right, so to see just how real this has all become, let's get into the first ever approved CRISPR therapy. This is where all that abstract science, all that lab talk, becomes a real, life-changing thing for actual people.
Meet CASGEVY. This is the one. In late 2023, this therapy made history. It became the very first treatment using CRISPR to get the green light from the FDA. I mean, this is it. This is the moment a revolutionary tool officially became a real-world medicine.
So what does CASGEVY actually do? Well, it targets two inherited blood disorders that have, frankly, caused an incredible amount of suffering for generations: sickle cell disease and beta thalassemia. The root cause for both is a tiny error in the genes that make hemoglobin, the super important protein that carries oxygen all through our blood. Okay, so how does this work in practice? It's this process called ex vivo therapy, which just means outside the body, and it's pretty wild. First, doctors take a patient's own blood stem cells. Then they take those cells to a lab where they use CRISPR to edit them and fix the genetic mistake. Finally, they infuse those newly modified healthy cells right back into the patient. And doing it this way is so important because it lets scientists double-check everything, make sure the edits are right and safe before putting the cells back. It's an incredibly personalized, one-and-done treatment.
And the results? Honestly, they are stunning. In the clinical trials for sickle cell, get this, 29 out of 31 patients, that is a staggering 93.5%, were completely free from the severe pain attacks that just torment people with this disease for at least a year after treatment. I mean, for these patients, this is so much more than a treatment. It's basically a cure. Look, CASGEVY is a huge deal, a monumental achievement. But believe me, it is just the tip of the iceberg. The success of this one therapy is lighting a fire under a massive economic and scientific revolution. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar market. And the numbers here really tell the story. The global market for CRISPR is on track to nearly triple in just 5 years. We're talking a jump from about $2 billion in 2024 to almost $6 billion by 2029. What's driving that? Well, costs are coming down, investors are pouring money in, and the list of what we can do with this technology just keeps getting longer. This has gone way beyond a niche tool for academics. It's a full-blown major industry. And all that cash is flowing into a massive range of fields. Yeah, the medical treatments get all the headlines, and for good reason. But CRISPR is also being used in agriculture to create crops that can survive better. It's in diagnostics, making faster, more accurate medical tests. And of course, it's a game changer for basic research, just helping us understand biology on a fundamental level. And we're seeing real, tangible results everywhere you look. Remember the pandemic? A CRISPR-based COVID test got authorized way back in 2021. In farming, it's helping develop crops that can handle drought and disease way better. And the tool itself is constantly being upgraded. New versions, like this thing called OpenCRISPR-1, are slashing those off-target effects, the accidental edits, making the whole process way safer and more precise. Okay, but with all this incredible promise, there are also some serious perils. This kind of power, it forces us to stop and confront some really tough questions. We're talking about cost, about safety, and about ethics.
let's just start with the biggest, most immediate hurdle, the price tag. The list price in the US for one single treatment of CASGEVY is $2.2 million. Just let that sink in. We have a cure, but who on earth can afford it? And that just opens up these huge, huge questions about fairness and who gets access to this kind of medicine.
And beyond the money, there are still real biological risks. Yeah, the tools are getting more precise, but the potential for unintended changes, what scientists call genotoxic effects, is still a worry. What does that mean? It means the editing process itself could accidentally damage a cell's DNA, and that could have really serious consequences later on. It's like even the sharpest scalpel can slip.
And all of this brings us to the biggest questions of all, the really heavy stuff. As this technology gets better and better, we're moving past the can we do this phase and right into the should we do this phase. And maybe even more important, who gets to make that call?
You know, public opinion is a huge piece of this whole puzzle. Studies show that the more people learn about gene editing, the more okay they are with it. But there's often this giant gap between what scientists think and what the public thinks. Just look at the numbers for GMOs back in 2014. A pretty related tech, right? 88% of scientists said they were safe, but only 37% of the public agreed. Bridging that kind of gap with good information and honest conversation, that is a massive challenge.
And this is where we get to the core ethical fear. It's the classic slippery slope argument, and this quote nails it. If we get comfortable using this to cure devastating diseases, what's to stop us from using it for enhancement, to try and make ourselves smarter or stronger or taller? Think about other technologies, like the internet. It was built for research, and now it's everything, with incredible upsides and some really scary downsides. So where do we draw the line when it comes to our own biology? This whole debate has created a major split, and not just with the public, but inside the scientific community itself. You've got one camp that says, look, let's take a prudent path. Let the scientists lead and develop the rules for responsible use. But then you have another camp that says, whoa, hold on. This is a question for everybody, for all of society. We need a big, open, democratic debate about whether we should even be doing this, especially when we're talking about changes that could be inherited by future generations. And so that leaves us right here with the ultimate question. We now have a tool that gives us the power to literally direct our own evolution. This is so far beyond being a question just for scientists. This is about our shared values. It's about what kind of future we want for humanity. So should we have this power? And if the answer is yes, who gets to decide how we use it? That is the question we all need to start thinking about, starting right now.